Hello, I'm FPX Toycat, and recently, as part of my efforts to light up my Minecraft world, I've been needing a lot of sticks recently, which means I've needed a lot of bamboo, and the most logical way to get a lot of bamboo is of course a bamboo farm. Maybe not one this size, but I have this bamboo farm that produces a lot of bamboo, or at least it's meant to, but yet when I go and check my chest, it hasn't actually been producing so much. I've got 4 stacks in here, sure, that's really nice, that's 2 stacks of sticks, but why isn't it as much bamboo as I would expect? Indeed, you can see how it's working, it did just work right there, it pushed all the stuff down, but you can see how there's a lot of bamboo lying on the tracks not being picked up by the minecart, the hopper. So given that we have a basic machine set up here to pick up bamboo, put it in this chest, why exactly is it not working despite the fact that all of the bamboo is there? This is something that my immediate first theory comes down to is like, oh yeah, well the minecart hopper must just be full. Maybe we expanded too fast and you can see, yeah, there's the minecart hopper. It's entirely full. It's only dropping 2 down into these 2 hoppers every single time, and it's done 2 rotations, so we got 4 more bamboo. But the truth is we're producing more than 2 bamboo every time it does a cycle. Therefore, the clear solution is we need more hoppers to have more opportunities for the minecart with the hopper filled with bamboo to actually take its bamboo, put it into these hoppers and put it into this chest so we can end up with more than we have right now. And since we need more hoppers, that means we need some more iron and some more chests, because fun fact, the recipe for a hopper is you just take yourself a chest just like this and then you surround it with some iron. It's a really nice simple recipe, but we just want to make a couple more of those. So what we'll do is we'll make another second chest, and then we can have double as many hoppers, 4 instead of 2, and that'll allow us to double the amount of bamboo we can actually take from this minecart every single rotation. And fun fact, when you're working on live redstone, the best thing to do is to stop the hopper, stop the minecart coming through. But I think the far more fun strategy is to wait till it does come through and then to work on it in between when it goes in here. This is actually how a lot of railroads are done in places like Japan. It's like their infrastructure's too valuable to not have it run for a bit. So what they just do is they work on it live and they really hope they can get it done in that time. And oh, we're gonna really pray we can do the same right here. We just have to get this off the tracks, and there we go. We're good. Everything's okay. Now we've got 4 hoppers picking up 4 pieces of bamboo, which means we have 24 bamboo now that the hopper's gone through this time. And when that minecart comes around the next time, it should go up by 4 because every single one of these has picked up one of those bamboo from that minecart. So now we get, double as much bamboo being taken from that minecart into the hopper. But I still think if we look at it right now, there's just so much bamboo being produced, so much bamboo being left on the tracks and stuff like that, that it's a real tragedy. I mean, look at it. There's just so much right here that the minecart hopper just isn't going to be picking up, right? I mean, look at it right there. Like, sure, it's picking up 4, but it's just being produced at such a rapid scale that it isn't really fixing the problem, which is why we could add more hoppers, sure, but a second solution to save us having more hoppers in this, because that's 4 hoppers, it's taking 5 iron every time just to get 1 extra bamboo per rotation. But what if instead of doing that, we made another hopper again, but this time, instead of just making it a normal hopper, we put that hopper inside of a minecart. You can do this by just making yourself a minecart, then you combine the minecart with the hopper, and boom, now we've got a machine that takes anything that it runs over, or indeed that runs onto it, and turns it into some stuff. And now if we lay this not so far behind the previous one, actually there's 2 ways we could do this. We could lay it perfectly behind, or we could lay it make it so they're both 50% apart, or we could follow it just a little bit behind. I'm gonna go with that second solution for now, and boom, now we've got a second minecart hopper, which means that not only are we getting 4 per rotation, we're getting 2 rotations done. Effectively, we're getting double as much bamboo per, cycle of a minecart going around there, and that should mean that 8, look at this, they're following each other, this one's picking up all the bamboo, and boom, we fixed the issue a little bit. Look how much more bamboo we're gonna end up with in this chest, which is handy, because you know what bamboo makes? Bamboo makes sticks. Look at all these extra sticks we've got our hands on, and boom, just a small bit of troubleshooting like that, just spending a few iron here, has actually significantly improved the amount of sticks, the amount of bamboo I can get from this, because bamboo isn't just useful for sticks, that's obviously a key first thing it's useful for, but it's also useful as a pretty much free furnace fuel, and it's kind of cool that we got that, right? So yeah, my attitude has been changing a little bit towards certain farms in Minecraft, because one of the things that happens, especially after there's a new tool in Minecraft, is people take it to its logical extremes, to the extremes where it doesn't even make sense to the end Minecraft user why anyone would build that thing in survival, because obviously most redstone testing is done in creative, and therefore most of what people see from YouTube videos, also, oops, something has gone horribly wrong here. It's fine, we'll just we'll just hope that it fixes eventually. But most redstone that people see is going to be in some form of creative from either a screenshot or a video or something. I guess they just go backwards around now. Guess that's just the facts of life. Oh no, they're both bumping each other as they hit the other side. This might actually be more efficient in the long run. No, it's not going to be. It's about the same efficiency, because now it's taking half a rotation cycle to do the same amount of stuff, but now one of them is trapped just endlessly bouncing against the other one. So what we'll do is we'll be the thing that stops this. Okay, that didn't work how I intended it to. Let's see if we can get this going around this way. No, we cannot. Okay, this is the slowest we can get it. It just, these minecarts just are not caring about my interventions in their speed. Just please, no. Okay. Okay, there we go. We finally got it going the right way. They're going together, almost in sync now. Actually, almost perfectly out of sync, which, whatever, that works too. But yeah, I've been kind of changing my mind about, like, you know what? I feel like survival redstone is a category that a lot of people miss, because why would you make things in redstone survival? It's so much easier and creative, and you need to do some amount of prototyping there, obviously, to make the most efficient designs. But something I've been considering is, like, you know what? If you're doing big survival projects like we do on this channel, there are certain redstone contraptions that really will help you out in a Minecraft world. And I've been changing my mind about it and thinking, like, you know what? Should we talk about what those are? Should we talk about how certain farms are actually significantly improved by that? Because again, the amount of bamboo we're getting now, just while we're standing around talking, it's really cool. We got another stack of bamboo in that time, and we can even make this more efficient if we want to. Because we have 5 more iron, which means when we make a chest, and then we turn that chest into a hopper, boom, now we've got ourselves another little bit of, okay, we're gonna be really fast, do it before anyone even comes past her. Now we've got ourselves another, oh lord, okay, we didn't get the rail back, so now they're both trapped over this gap that we need to fix. But yeah, I feel like, where did that piece of rail go? Oh, it must have went in the hopper, which means, yep, it's in here. See? But yeah, I feel like this is a sort of thing that is, like, fun to do if you do it on a scale that's, like, reasonable in survival, and if you do it in a way that, like, helps you understand the fundamentals of how redstone works, etc. And yeah, especially given the observer block is such a survival-friendly tool, I feel like, you know what? Let's work on some redstone today. Also, let's see if we're actually, you know, getting through the backlog of bamboo now, because that minecart of a hopper has, like, you know, 40 spaces now, which is better if it was the full one. But if this one's also full, it still means there's an issue. No, this one's entirely empty, which means we're slowly clearing now, you know, through the backlog of, you know, the bamboo, which means, hey, now we need to get some more bamboo, you know, to go onto the tracks to be picked up by the hoppers. Now we've got more hopper capacity than we do bamboo capacity, and there's an easy way to increase that, right? Because right now, it only goes 3 layers up where we have the observer blocks, which are checking when the bamboo grows, and then the pistons, which are destroying it. It only goes 3 layers up and only onto one of the sides, so if we just make it on this other side as well, like we've done for a little bit, we should be able to, quite easily actually, you know, increase the bamboo output, at least by a little. But first, we're gonna need some iron, because the piston recipe requires iron. It's actually one of the reasons it's so intensive. Like, one of the few reasons that you would need to go mining a lot in Minecraft is to get iron, if there wasn't also an iron farm that required iron, but whole separate point. But yeah, what we need is we need some iron. That iron is gonna allow us to make a piston as soon as we work out the recipe. I think there's some redstone in there and some other... You know, this is one of those things where, like, whenever I need the piston recipe, I just look at, like, what I'm missing and then work from there. So it's 4 sets of cobblestone, 3 sets of planks, 1 stack of iron, 1 stack of redstone. That's easy enough to do. Let's go grab some cobblestone. It's crazy how many items we're actually condensing down here just to get pistons. Like, again, the piston in Minecraft takes a lot to make when you're actually trying to make them in some decent bulk. And then also we're going to need the observer block. The observer is 6 bits of cobblestone, 2 stacks of redstone, and a stack of quartz. And just like that, a single stack of observers, as well as a bunch more cobblestone, because I guess I looked at the recipe wrong or something. What did I not grab enough of? Oh, I didn't grab enough redstone. I've got enough for everything else. Just not a second stack of redstone. Silly me. Easy mistake to make. And yeah, now we've got ourselves a bunch more observers, so we can improve that aspect as well. And yeah, it's a nice way to pay off for all the mining that we've done in Minecraft. And now what we do is we run along here, we set up a row of pistons just like this, and then on the, you know, on top of it, we have a row of observers which look at these things right here, and when they detect there's a tiny bit of movement, I'm assuming we actually do these correctly, when they detect there's a tiny bit of movement, just like this, it will push the entire row of pistons out just like so. Actually, wait. Oh, we placed them the wrong way. That easy mistake to make. You've got to have the dodgy eyes looking at the thing you want it to. Look at those eyes. Look how judgmental they are. They know I placed them the wrong way, and they're not going to let me go. But yeah, now we do it this way. And as you can see, whenever they detect something, they activate the redstone, which activates the pistons. Nice and simple. The reason I decided to work on my bamboo farm today while we talk about this is because this bamboo farm, it might seem like it's a specific design for a bamboo farm, but the truth is this will actually work for any form of resource collection in Minecraft. This exact same farm design where you've just got a lot of plants all next to each other, all using pistons on the middle block and then having an observer on the top block. It seems like it's only applicable here for the the bamboo, but the truth is this is actually a farm design which works better, or at least it's designed better, for things like cactuses and sugarcane. If you have you have sand down below and you have like a way to do that, this will actually work better for cactus, this will work better for sugarcane, because those things grow up to 3, so when you have the middle block to be destroyed, you have the top block to work out when it's fully grown, and then you destroy all of them just like this. This exact same design is super applicable to so many other parts of Minecraft, and that's why I wanted to show it off today. But like, it's a really basic enough design. Like, yeah, it takes a lot of resources to make. Like, making it on this scale isn't basic by anyone's major definitions. But the truth is, the minecart the hoppers running around and the rail part of this is arguably the most complex part. Otherwise, you're just growing a lot of things in a row using some, Minecraft features. One is somewhat new, one is not new in the slightest, and then combining them together until you get what you see right here. And indeed, that's the point I'm trying to make here today, because obviously, this video has the core function of like, hey, this is episode 450, it's a big milestone, let's talk about some of the different things you can do. Because focusing on the big insane survival projects, that's what I like about Minecraft, but doing the things that help you with that are something I've decided are more important recently. Obviously, like, I'm not the supreme authority on this, but the reason I've kind of changed my, not my mind, I wouldn't say, but the reason I've kind of, like, shifted my stance a little bit is because I used to be like, oh yeah, well, again, redstone contraptions are things that people make that are a fun thing. They're on the paths you can take in survival, but it's not a necessary part of the path. But I feel like the more Minecraft improves and upgrades and adds new ways to do different things, again, there's like different pathways to get to different places. The reality is, this isn't just one of the end of the paths anymore, because redstone at one point was just like, oh yeah, here's how you make the really silly over-the-top builds, for the sake of making them yourself. It's one of the things you can do, and it's really complex for anyone to understand. So, that was, that's why you shouldn't stand there after you place the pistons, by the way. But it's something that seems like really, I think we're knocking some things around again. But it seems like really, it seems like an end result thing most of the time. Like making a computer in Minecraft or having a farm like this all the way to sky height would be ridiculous. Having that level of bamboo would be absurd in the long run, right? There's no need to have that silly amount of bamboo. Also, they've started hitting each other again. I'm assuming they're hitting something else, and that's why. Because they shouldn't be traveling at such hugely different speeds. But yeah, here we are, and they're doing precisely that. Again, something we've got to work on right now, I guess. But yeah, more and more, something Minecraft's trying to do, and something that I really like is their kind of design goal, is trying to make it like a part of the progression if you want it to be. Given that there's now so many more things in Minecraft, like, the Buzzy Bee update added bees, of course. The Piglin update's adding a reason to, like, basically farm gold, but it's a farm that you need to have in the Nether, right? They're trying to give you, like, more reasons and places to do your resource gathering for different types of resources, and it makes it more and more untenable to do everything by hand, even if you want to. Like, even if you want to farm bamboo by hand, I mean, I still can. I can chop down all these trees, and it's probably going to be faster if I need a lot right now than waiting around next to this. But if I need to get something on a mass scale, if I need to get lots of things on a mass scale together, having individual farms of those things next to each other is actually more logical. And also, it can be more fun to work on than chopping down, like trillions of pieces of bamboo, like I'm going to need to get all of the sticks that we do need today. And that's why I feel like the kind of... Where are all these llamas even spawning, by the way? Or why are they spawning here? I guess it is in extreme hills, which is why you should always have your minecart tracks be colored, just like we have for the most part over here, besides a few niche places where that's not true. Actually, let's just grab some quartz and let's finish the track all the way around to stop them bouncing into each other. That seems like a nice, easy, logical thing to do now, right? I think the issue must be here. Every time I leave them, they start doing this, which means one of them's, like, rendering out first, like it's leaving my spawned-in radius first. So what we'll do is we'll try... Always forget they'll just walk right through me. Very offended. But what we can do is we can try to have them, like, both follow each other very closely so that doesn't happen, maybe? Because, yeah, if they're on the same chunk at all times, they'll never have that be an issue. So what we'll do is we'll run right here. Oh, God. Okay, so if we deliberately leave them so that they go pretty much next to each other, and then when one... Okay, well, this isn't working how I thought it would. Also, pillager raid is spawned. Again. every episode of the Let's Play, there is always a pillager raid. This is just a constant in my life now, which is fine. We can kill some pillagers. They're not so hard. But anyway, yeah, we can use these slabs as a way to avoid things getting on the track, which could potentially be another reason they're reversing. I mean, if a pillager raid gets on the tracks, that's going to cause some serious issues. So we just don't let them get on top of it. Again, there's going to be that one section that is heavily lit up where nothing should be able to spawn anywhere near or around. And therefore, as a result, we're not going to see the minecarts bouncing around each other. Again, this is something that is a bad idea for the purpose of trying to like troubleshoot them and work out why they're bouncing. But again, we can deal with the bouncing problem later. I feel like it's something to do with despawn raids anyway, so it's going to keep happening unless we set them up to be super close by, which is my new strategy, by the way. But yeah, we can make the small improvements that we need to this farm, and to improve its capacity, and to, oh, we need to make sure we grab that, and we're going to have to just jump straight over this guy. Not a big problem. Because again, they're still bouncing into each other, and they still will bounce into each other as long as we don't deal with the whole chunk issues that are clearly causing that to happen. But again, that's something that we can deal with as it needs to be. We could also just put hoppers on the other side of this so we can guarantee that whenever they're bouncing, they're still both depositing the same number of blocks. But anyway, not really our issue right now. The issue right now is making this farm slightly better. And one of those things is stopping the hoppers from being caught on something, because obviously that's going to require manual intervention. Easiest way to do that is by placing these blocks here. This means the bamboo won't go onto the track itself, but will instead go onto a nice little like a half slab right here. And that also means that if we want to, again, one of the solutions to all of the, because you might have noticed, there's a lot of bamboo, which just ends up on the ground over here, like really far away. I'd say there's like two main solutions to this as a problem, right? One of the solutions is we could like have some buckets of water going from over here, flowing down onto there, leaving the blocks down there. That's an easy solution, but it's kind of a lot of space required. The slightly messier solution that isn't going to work perfectly all the time, but that we're going to be trying regardless, is to use some walls instead. So given that the third floor is likely the one knocking these blocks the furthest away, let's start up here. What we're going to do is we're going to have a nice little wall that's going to be placed on the side of this bamboo, just over there, as you can see, just like that. And actually, I'd say like another block further might even be a better decision. So we'll go up a little more onto the block above it. Oh god, moving around is kind of tricky. And we instead place it over there, or over here, as you can see. So what we do is we have a wall just over here, and what this should hypothetically do at least is it should, when the bamboo knocks into it, it should cause the the bamboo to get knocked onto this wall and then to bounce down there, falling onto the pathway. We'll see if it precisely does. Again, this is something we could model in creative, but let's play around with it in survival. Let's see how that one goes. So let's place some bamboo. Let's place it like ourselves, just to be 100% fair and transparent in this one. Here is, or to be 100% easy to see, I should say. So there's like 6 bits of bamboo. We placed that up there, and a lot of them bounced down. I'd say one of them ended up there. A few of them, I think, ended up a little far off anyway. We can only see the shadows right now for some reason. But everything else is being picked up, it seems. So I think it's improved our collection rates a tiny bit. I couldn't say by a huge amount. So we'll do the same test again, just to be sure here, actually. So another 6 bamboo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Place one up there, just so we get this to happen. And yeah, you can see how it's knocking more of them down and less of them all the way onto the ground, littering my field, but more importantly, not being collected because it just despawns, which has performance issues as well, but not my biggest issue. And yeah, now we fixed another little problem, and we've done it using diorite walls, because since 1.14 came out, I'll be honest with you, haven't used diorite walls in survival. Here's me using them as part of my block thing. But yeah, so one of the things that really caused me to change my outlook, one of the things that kind of made me change my mind about Minecraft is that like the progression tree between all the different things in the game, you know, like it used to be you chop down a tree, you get wood, and then you get some stone, then you get some iron, then you get some diamonds, then you mess about with whatever else. Minecarts were a key thing you could play around with. You made a minecart track, and that, you know, like the core progression of Minecraft is super satisfying, and then, you know, everything else is kind of secondary. Farms were almost not intentional. It's something that Minecraft has fostered, but I wouldn't say it's something they ever intended to be made, at the very first at least. But since then, the progression has had a lot of other spanners thrown in there. I mean, the ways you can get diamonds have changed so much, and although I didn't like the progression as an idea at first, it does make sense that it's like, oh yeah, it's different. There are so many different ways to get every possible item in Minecraft. They've mixed it up, they've mashed up so many different ways for you to get the same different things. I mean, if you want to get diamond tools now. You can find diamonds in the wild and craft them. You can find diamonds underground and then you can craft them. You can find diamond enchanted tools in, fortresses, etc. And then you can also trade with villagers, which trading with villagers effectively means that you can farm melons or something and then trade those melons for diamond pickaxes. That's all I do to get my diamond tools anymore. And it feels really weird at first. It definitely doesn't feel natural to be playing Minecraft where the way you get diamonds is by trading melons. But the fact that they've added that as their intentional goal, this was 1.14, the biggest update recently, and the fact that, 1.16 seems to be following the same rough design cues shows me that Minecraft has had a clear change in direction where they think that farming to some extent is not like an unnatural part of Minecraft, but is an inevitability. And although you might have said like, oh, well, this has been the goal for a while. This has been how it really has been for a while. The reality is I feel like the change it was something that some Minecraft people, did, some Minecraft team members supported, to now I think, like either Jeb or whoever is in charge, again, it's Jeb, but like, just keep things simple, the people who make the decisions about the Minecraft gameplay experience, I think most of them are on board with the same idea that like, oh yeah, everything can be farmable. Doing it yourself is one of the options, but also making more and more things farmable is something they value. And the reason you can tell this is because they altered the way iron farms work, and they always go through a lot of effort to keep them working the same way they do. They could, obviously, even though, there's no, mining iron is obviously the way the game intends for you to get iron at some point. The reality is they always keep fixing iron farms and re-adding them, etc. And it makes you realize that, like, oh yeah, this is an intentional thing for them. This is something they see as like, there's no better way to get iron right now than to do that. And although I think, when the cave update comes out, not if, when, I want to keep that clear in everyone's mind, but when that inevitably does come out, I think that's going to also play a key part. I think one of the ways they can add new ores potentially or new things is it's going to play into this whole alternate tech trees in Minecraft thing. And as someone, who likes playing a lot of Minecraft, I think it doesn't make sense to just ignore an entire part of the game forever. Will I ever be the biggest farm person in the world? No. But one of my things I want to focus on is like functional farm designs. Having farm, goals and designs, etc. that aren't just there for the sake of being, the most efficient XXX Actually, wait, all we could do, if we want to push out the, I was hoping that would go out of block, but it didn't, because obviously it didn't get pushed that way. If we placed another wall on top of that, and then this is a really dumb thing we can do. But if we now place some bamboo on that block over there, all of that gets pushed one, which means we could have left the one block, whatever, it's a dumb thing. But yeah, I feel like Minecraft has really changed their design outlook for the game in some ways. And although I could just be, I could ignore it, and I think Minecraft's a cool game because you can totally ignore those sorts of things. I feel like to truly appreciate and enjoy certain update features they're planning, and certain things coming in the future, because this is the updated ventures, it's become an inevitability like, okay, we're gonna have to play around with certain other alternate ways of doing things in Minecraft. Like, that's why I've made my giant village farm style thing. That's why I have a couple of egg farms around my world. And that's why I intend to start making a few more automatic versions of things in this world, especially for things that trade. Gold is gonna have to be another key one. I'm looking forward to resetting up the gold farm, because I still have a giant gold farm that just doesn't work in Bedrock right now with current Bedrock spawn mechanics, but it should work in the future. And yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm going to be, I guess, re-diving into after this update, because a lot of things are changing in Minecraft, and you don't have to adapt to them. That's the cool thing about Minecraft. You can play the game the way you've always wanted to. But this is the updated ventures. This is my one survival let's play, and one of the ways I think Minecraft prevents itself from staying stagnant is like, oh yeah, there are new ways to do things all the time, and some of those new ways are going to involve automated methods. I mean, even now my speedrun basically involves like piglin farming by like getting as many piglins as you can to trade for stuff. If it's a weird mechanic, but it feels like it's like gonna be one that's more fun to automate in certain ways. And yeah, I look forward to like my first never-based farm. I look forward to a lot of things that I'm gonna have to play around with. And it's going to change how I play Minecraft in some ways, I guess is what I'm saying. And yeah, through the course of this video, we've ended up with this much bamboo. Enough bamboo to certainly get ourselves ahead on this giant project. Although actually, just for fun here, just because now we have even more bamboo surging, what we can do is we can make another minecart of a hopper, and we can place this minecart of a hopper down onto the tracks. And we can throw that one just rolling around there too. Because, I mean, as long as they all should go in sync, which we can deal with as a thing later. As long as eventually enough of them are going over those hoppers, it doesn't really matter how many are rolling around. As long as they're all rolling around in the same way, I think. I actually don't know how they're all going to bounce together, but either way, it's going to improve my collection rates for bamboo, or at least I should hope it does. We'll see if it actually does later. But for now, I've got a lot of bamboo. I've sorted out my bamboo issue, which I now can get sticks from, and I did it by doing something entirely different. Instead of just chopping down trees, I had to make some decisions about a build. I built something that sticks there and remains there, and that's kind of fun. It's the same reason I like the Insane projects. It's the same reason I like a lot of things, and it was kind of fun to make right here. Although a lot of people are going to say that's ugly. I've just realized, wait a minute. People criticize things that I actually do like myself, let alone the things I don't like, and that is probably on that list. But we'll just ignore it for now. We'll leave that to the side. But yeah, hopefully when you look at my sugarcane farm, you can see the same kind of rough idea here, right? Like, oh yeah, it's the exact same concept, just minus the observers and the, obviously minus the observers and minus the, the name has escaped me. Minus the observer, minus the pistons. But all you have to do is make this single file instead of double file, and then in this backspace right here, we could have ourselves some observers, some pistons, some redstone behind it, and boom, it's the exact same farm, just this one's much bigger, of course, and obviously it would create a lot more waste if it was automated. And yeah, although I like the idea of having super efficient by-hand farms, it's like going over the top, it's like a fun thing that I've done. It's a fun thing. I think we'll still do it at some point in the future, for sure. I mean, the top half of the bamboo farm isn't automated, for instance. But I also feel like, you know what, for certain things in the future, it's fun to try. Adjusting to the realities of the situation you find yourself in is something that is really hard to do, because one of the things in human desire is like, one of the things about us is like, we tend to try to imagine the situation we'd like to be in rather than the one that we actually find ourselves in. Like, you know what, dealing with things how they are is a very difficult, very terrifying thing in some ways. Dealing with things how we want them to be, well, that's significantly easier. That just requires some good imagination, etc. And yeah, as a result of that. Also, I'm actually not sure what entirely is going on right here, but we're going to make ourselves a melon farm using the same logic after we take down this villager raid, of course. Because, you know, we could pretend there's no villager raid, but it doesn't stop the fact that a lot of dudes are going to knock down my doors any second now. Actually, wait, are they? I hear the pillagers, but I don't see the pillagers. Over here somewhere, maybe? You know, actually, they're all on the wrong sides of the walls to be able to even try and get in, which means we can leave them be while we work on this farm right here. So, okay, while the pillager raid, you know, scares all the villagers around, let's talk a little bit about, you know, a farm right here. Because the exact same logic of like, oh yeah, just pistons and observer blocks can actually work for pretty much any farm you want them to. So we're going to have a row of pistons right here doing the exact same thing. Most of this will be melons. I might even replace these and put melons in there later, but for now, just keep in mind, yep, row of pistons, do the same thing as before. Break these blocks over here as well. Just do the exact same thing that we did before. Actually, we might need to have a bigger gap between the two rows of pistons, but again, issues for another time. And so yeah, now we place all of our pistons in the little gaps that we've now made, just like this. And then what we do on top of this is we place some dirt blocks, because melons need to grow on the dirt, as you can see right here. That's how they do in fact decide to grow. Melons and pumpkins, I should say. So now we just have two more blocks, one over here and one over here. And now we just have to work out some way to detect when a single melon has grown or a single pumpkin has grown, which we do by detecting all of them, just to be simple. Although actually you don't even need to be that fancy. You should be like, you know what, when this one particular you know, melon over here grows, because this melon is going to be the most important melon, then you can activate the rest of the redstone. So we'll have it be over here, to be simple. Or we could have it like over here, just right in the middle. Why not? So when there is a melon that grows here, it activates some redstone. Then that redstone goes all the way around, and it can activate the rest of these pistons very easily. I must have mined some redstone during the entire mining of this. Apparently, Minecraft tells me I did not. We need to go and we need to get some redstone to actually do that. But yeah, the system is really as simple as this. If we want to farm some melons, then you better believe we do, because that's basically the same as farming diamond pickaxes in Minecraft 1.14 and beyond. But if you want to do that, all you've got to do is have yourself some melon stems which grow there, and underneath it, we'll have a bunch of redstone, which activates all of this, and then we can have a collection method, and we can do that by ourselves, or we can do it manually. It doesn't really matter too much. Also, there's a lot of things I need to fill back in this village. Didn't really appreciate that. But yeah, sometimes in life there are going to be jarring changes that don't necessarily make sense. Usually you don't see these in any form of media because, again, it's weird, it's not what you necessarily want to see, and it's kind of strange to look at, but there are big changes that, you know, really will affect you and that really will leave you a little confused as to like, so why is it slightly different than before? Why is everything changed? You know, the stages of grief that people go through, it's something that I can kind of relate to on like a Minecraft level, a small Minecraft level this week, right? Because I died in the end and I lost not only my full armor, which, you know, took like a couple of hours to replace. In reality, it could have been less, but like, you know, like I died in the end. It really sucked on one level, but the worst thing is that I made this entire box full of you know, torches, and I lost all of those things in the end too. If you're curious, the Let's Play was recorded last week before that death, which is how that happened. I lost an entire box full of charcoal, an entire box full of what took hours and hours of smelting to work. Because, by the way, here's another system of redstone. It's really basic. It's just Hopper goes in that takes, you know, say, you know, some wood from the top. So here's a stack of oak logs. Hopper has, you know, like oak logs go in here. Hopper takes them from there, puts them in a furnace, smelts them in the furnace until we get some charcoal from the bottom. So it's a simple enough concept for redstone, but also it allows us to smelt things without having to be manually there. It's a nice little change. But anyway, yeah, so just wanted to mention the redstone link to this episode. But yeah, we lost a huge thing, and it's actually something that I have a struggle like adjusting to. It sounds really dumb, like, you know, it's just all I lost was torches. People have lost much more than torches and had much less serious reactions, but actually it is a big change because I guess we can't take a shulker box with us. You know what? I didn't want to take a shulker box with me anyway. That's let's leave without it. But yeah, like, adjusting to the change is really hard, and you do kind of go through, you know, the stages of grief, right, where you're like, at first you deny it, and then you just try to you know, live your exact same life as if nothing's changed. These seem like the logical things to do, like, oh yeah, if I just pretend it's not there, then it doesn't hurt me. But when life changes, you do need to adapt to it. You need to adapt to the new normal, because what normal is, you know, normal seems like a thing that's very, you know, there's lots of things that, you know, humans find hard to define, but one of the things that's easy is like normal. Like, you couldn't perfectly pin it down, right? But you could say what is definitively normal and what definitively isn't normal, right? Like, what's normal is, you know, also, I think this is actually meant to be where it is. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that, see, tiny mistake right there. But like, normal is a really easy thing to define. It should seem, right? But the reality is like, normal is changing all the time. The definition of, you know, one of the things that makes it so hard for like different generations to like connect or whatever is because your definition of normal depends on, you know, like the situation you grew up in, which does wildly vary over time. Times are changing right now. For instance, like, we're going through the first ever, like, again, for the most part, major lockdown in history. I know that people will compare it to like the Spanish flu, but on the levels we've seen right now and the way this is happening to us, you know, the fact that everyone's on the internet so much more than before, this is a weird scenario where effectively being on the internet, goofing off and watching YouTube videos is like the best thing you can do for your country right now. I've said that before, but it's a wacky thing that obviously, like, you know, I've been doing a lot more of these days. I've been playing a lot more of Minecraft these days, doing my duty to protect the world by playing some Minecraft. Yes, I have. But also, there is a creeper over here. Got to be watching out for that. But I've been, you know, like, I've been obviously doing a lot of things differently, but and life has changed and the normal has changed, and adjusting to that is very hard, but it's something you've got to try to do because, you know, therapy is something that's super important, right? Everyone, if you go through a bad thing, I actually do recommend, like, as a thing, therapy, because, you know what, all a therapist is really doing is reframing things that you already, you know, like, it's just taking the things that you know have happened, but that, like, your brain is having a hard time adjusting to, and just being like, hey, what if this, but slightly easier? Like, everyone has these things inside of them. What if it was easier to deal with? Also, we're going to have a torch over here as well, I think. And we're just going to keep on crisscrossing this forest till it's all lit up. But yeah, like, dealing with the idea of, you know, like, you know, once something bad happens to you, there are so many coping mechanisms to just make it easy, because dealing with it all at once is tricky, but then people will never come around to dealing with it. It's kind of like, again, to avoid comparing therapy to Minecraft directly, let me just say again, one of the things that I recommend anyone can do themselves, even if right now you can't see someone who can help you with a particular issue, is just like, think about the things that, you know, bug you every time they come up. Like, oh yeah, you know, here's a dumb one for me. Whenever I think about when I was a really young child, I was really addicted to, like, tickets in an arcade. And my brother was like, no, you don't want to do the tickets. They're the worst one. I'm like, no, I want to do them anyway. I don't know why, but to this day, like, it still makes me, like, cringe painfully when I think about, like, oh yeah, I was addicted to those dumb tickets at an arcade. You know, and I was playing, like, a game that wasn't even getting them very fast. And as a result, you know, like, just like doing that, like despite someone saying no, like that. By the way, that's such a me story, right? Like, oh yeah, someone told me the better way to do things, but they told me to do it, and I said no. It's funny that it literally goes back to literally, I think I was age 7. I was in year 3 at school, so you know, goes a long way back is what I'm trying to say right here. But yeah, like that story makes me cringe every time I think about it. I don't know why that is, but like really violently, painfully. But when you like you know, think about something, you know, and there's people have done much worse things than just like a small cringe moment of accidentally calling their teacher mum or whatever else you've done. But like once you learn to think about these as like, so why did I do it? Would other people have done that thing in that situation, or would you know, why did that happen, and how do you prevent it happening again if you don't want it to? Or why is it not so bad that it happened? Like it's really every single bad thing that happens to humans, and you know the solutions to them can be put into like that simple category of like, oh yeah, if it's bad, how do you prevent it happening again? If it's like not so bad, why is it not so bad? Why does it feel so bad despite the fact that it's not? Because there are lots of things that feel super, you know, like again, feeling guilty. Like recently, I've been like playing, like I said, I've been playing a lot more Minecraft, but also I've had this like just big stress. I think I've mentioned it before, but like YouTube is a very stressful game when it's going poorly. But right now, things are going very well on YouTube. Like obviously, a lot of people are watching videos. It seems it's been a good time for everything besides ad revenue. But again, I'm like the revenue side of things is the thing I'm least concerned about on YouTube. The thing that most concerns me is that like, because you know there's always some way you can, you know, like if you're desperate, there's always some way you can turn an audience of people who want to watch you into some way to sustain yourself, right? That's not the biggest of issues. But the bigger of issues is like you're always on the chopping block for being forgotten about or whatever. YouTube's algorithm basically says, hey, if your video isn't interesting enough, let's not show it to your subscribers. They might not like it. It's something I take issue with because like it totally makes sense from a platform level. Like they get the most interesting videos in front of you, the viewer. In theory, sure, yeah, that's great. But like as a YouTuber, they're basically saying, hey, people who signed up to see your content, nah, not unless they stand in between me and you. You know, like it's a gate. They're you know they're like a bouncer saying no. You can't speak to him unless I say so first. And most people like that system. A lot of YouTubers I watch, there's a gateway between me and them that is YouTube. And it's fine because it means I only see their most interesting things, which is great on the surface. But sometimes you just, you know, that leaves like a lot of stress on like a person. But, you know, like the easiest thing to do is to like take that stress and lead it to an unhealthy situation. But, yeah, avoiding those unhealthy situations is something that it's important to do. And it seems obvious when you say, hey, fun fact, did you know you should avoid unhealthy situations? Everyone's like, well, actually, I did know that. Wow, what a wacky factoid, Cat. You should be my therapist with your great logic. But the more interesting thing than just saying, like, hey, avoid bad situations is the fact that, like, oh, Lord, okay, let's hold off placing torches over here for a little bit, shall we? Let's just face this way as we do it. Yeah, actually, that's my new solution. Let's just place backwards. Again, we could remove the maps right now. We can change the situation, or we can accept it. And doing either one of those things is a great idea. Ignoring it entirely and hoping that it fixes itself works for some very few specific issues, actually. But it won't work for all of them, is the point I'm vaguely making today. And, yeah, I guess you know, one of the reason we're changing our stance in Minecraft is because you can hold your stances and your views and whatever else for as long as you like. But the reality is at some point, you know, the world changes around you and you can be a relic of how the world was, or you can adapt to how it is now. Kind of like the YouTube thing. Like, the reality is, like, I could have moved off platform. I could have moved to a Patreon. You know, there's a lot of things I could have tried to do if I was really... If my biggest concern was, like, keeping things the way they were. But the reality is, under a world where, you know, there is a bouncer, effectively, between you and the things you want to watch, and hopefully that includes me. The reality is, as a YouTuber, my best job is to try and satisfy the never satisfied algorithm that is YouTube, right? That's like step 1. Wait, actually, is -5 minus 6 would be 0. I think that's counterintuitive, but I think that's true, right? Because wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Never mind, it's 1. I'm an idiot. I was like, wait a minute, what if maths isn't true because of negative numbers? But that's not how that works in the slightest. But yeah, as a YouTuber, the best thing you can do is be like, hey, here's the deal. You know, if you want to see that, you know, if you want to still be in control of the things that come to you, you can turn on notifications on YouTube and then whatever other platform, or on Twitter I recommend because it's a different platform. Like you have to have some like or like, you know, there's many other places you can. That's why I recommend, like, if you like someone, like, try to follow them somewhere else. Like I obviously you might think that I want you to follow me on Twitter just so you like my absolutely great tweets about what we tweeted about recently. I tweeted some Animal Crossing things, and also I complained about delivery times on the internet. I have great tweets. I don't know what anyone's talking about. But, like, obviously you might think that the reason YouTubers say that is because, like, oh yeah, follow me here, because if you follow me, then, you know, you'll see my stuff and you'll interact with it. And that way I'll seem really important even on Twitter. Because I don't want to just seem important on YouTube. I want to seem important on Instagram and Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat. Please don't. If I get one, that's a sign that I've gone too far and I should die. But yeah, I only used it for female toy cat filter. Then I uninstalled it. That is the natural progression of Snapchat to me. But like, no, yeah, like, the more like social medias you follow someone on, the more chance that one of those algorithms will show you a thing and make you remember, oh yeah, they do exist. Unlike the weird thing about, like, because in real life, I would say humans are kind of set up to only know a certain number of friends. You know, like, we're only, as you know, like, we have brains that for most of history have been pretty fine with knowing, let's say, a maximum of like 100 people. But more realistically, it's like 60, 70. There've been studies that have basically proven this. But like, we are only set up to know a certain number of people. That number, I've actually seen it vary all over based on studies, but it's generally agreed off somewhere between a dozen and 100. So, you know, like, given that we are kind of evolved in that way to be like, you know, we can remember that many names of places. That's why we have just first names. You know, for most of history, we've only really needed first names, because even if there happened to be 2 Andrews in the village, it was pretty clear based on context which of the 60 people you were talking to. That's, you know, the concept of second names are actually so, like, alien to a lot of cultures, like, that they only came around when they became, you know, like, part of the globalized system. So, for instance, like, Iceland, they don't have second names even now. They just, or they do, like, officially. But, like, to introduce second names, they just took it. So, like, oh, yeah, your dad's name plus the word son is your last name. And it's like, oh, I am the son of Christian. I am Christian's son. That's why all their names end with, like, son, by the way. Like, oh, yeah, Vikingson. And, like, Christiansen and, like, fun. Ericsson is another, you know, common Scandinavian name. Another example is there's a lot of Asian countries that have a similar thing where, like, oh yeah, the first name, second name thing, it seems really obvious as, like, a globalized system today, but it's like, it's a new invention that we've had to make as we know more and more people. Like, there is only one William Shakespeare, although there's probably more, but, like, the William Shakespeare, you know, so in reality, you'd be like, William Shakespeare, born 1542 or whatever year it is. I actually don't know. It's somewhere in between 1000 and 2000, you know, not somewhere nicely in there. But yeah, so the idea of, like, fame is also kind of a new one, because obviously, you know, like, for most of history, we've told tales about each other, like, oh yes, there was this guy, you know, there are the people you know, the 60 people you know that, like, you can vaguely keep track of. The reason we have shame, like, even though I hate online, we use shaming to do, like, the worst things, like, hey, this person, you know, like, this person is cancelled. Let's all collectively harass them and try and get them fired from their job, and, like, all these awful things that people try to do to people because they dislike a thing they learned about online. But, like, yeah, these are, like, part of, like, a valid shame concept that we used to have, because, like, oh yeah, if you only knew 60 people, it was important that if you wronged one of those people in a way that wasn't very clear, that they could, you know, make you feel, so that there was incentives not to do so. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is we're only really set up to know a certain number of people. Our brains aren't really wired to have hundreds and hundreds of friends. I personally, whenever I see people who have, like, you know, who say, like, oh yeah, I have, like, 25 best friends. You know, people who have parties too, where they invite, like, hundreds of people. It's like, at that point, that's not a party. That's not, like, a fun gathering of people you know. That's you trying to, like, flex on people, right? That's you trying to be like, look how nice a thing I have. People need to see it. Not just the people who like me, but especially the people who don't. They need to see how my life is better than all of theirs. Or maybe I'm just projecting my own feelings onto that one. But yeah, so because we're not really set up to know so many people, because that's not a thing we've had to do for most of human history, and, you know, we don't have that many friends. It's just in general is an easy fact to say, right? It means it's kind of weird when it comes to online, because you might, you know, I follow over 150 YouTubers, And the reality is I can't keep up to date with all of them. I don't know what a lot of those have done since... So I don't know what a lot of those YouTubers have done since the days of like 2012 when I might have first subscribed to them. A lot of them probably aren't YouTubers now, actually, now that I think about it. A lot of those people have given up on it. But, how does YouTube decide which of those to throw at me? For the longest time, they had this, like, true equality model where they're like, hey, every single person, every single upload, will show it to you, and you can decide. And then after a while, they're like, well, if you decide, you either get overwhelmed, or, the people who put the most quantity out, they kind of win it. So instead, their new model is, okay, so we'll stand in between you and the people you want to follow. Again, like, if you think of it kind of like it, because online, you knowing me, it's kind of like a parasocial relationship, right? You know some details about me. You know that thing I did when I was 7. None of my real friends know that. My brother has probably forgotten about that story. I haven't brought it up since then. Actually, most of the time, every time I bring up like a significant story from my past to someone, like, and I tell my aunt about a time, she brought home some food and said, if you want any, you can have some. And I took that to mean, like, I've got to eat it all. And I ate, like, several days worth of food while she wasn't, like, there. And I was, like, I felt awful about it because she was like, I meant, like, a little bit. Like, that's the story when I brought it up. She was just like, oh, yeah, I don't actually remember that. Like, the moments that are super significant to you, you know about more than other people. But, like, you now know about that super significant moment to me more than anyone in my real life does, right? So, even though it is a parasocial relationship, even though that is a very real, even though this isn't a real thing in the sense that you don't know me personally, because I don't know you as well as you know me. The truth is you do know me kind of like, it uses the reason influencers, I hate that term, but like it's what the news insists on calling this section of the internet. The reason like influencers or whatever, at least I guess a lot of influencers, work is because it's kind of like a friend that you get to choose. There's lots of friends out there, and I don't have to approve you becoming a friend of me. I can disapprove because there are a lot of people who do very strange things with their friendship, air quotes, that they sign up for. But yeah, it's like a one-way friendship. It's a friendship with none of the disapproval processes. It's really nice on that level. You could easily argue. But yeah, because we're in such early days of this as like kind of a format, like the idea of like, oh yeah, here's a guy, he talks, he plays video games, and you listen, and hopefully you enjoy that. The systems to deal with it are kind of weird. Like, should you be in control of that? I'd like to be in control of how friends can contact me. If a friend wants to send me a message, the Facebook gods or whatever other gods, the text gods, because, text and phone calls don't have this, right? Like, the phone company doesn't get to decide, actually, do you need to hear this call from your mother? I don't know if you do, Andrew. Or, you need to hear this call from your aunt or your brother. They don't get to decide on that one. So, something that the tech giants have all done, again, in different ways, admittedly, but, like, something they've all decided on is, like, actually, I think we do get to decide here. It's a really... Also, let's use the slab here. I shouldn't have these slabs anymore. I should have put them away. But let's put one here, even though there's not meant to be a block there, just so we can have the torch in the right place. Again, we're trying to have this perfect grid across the entire world. It's tricky to do, but let's try and stick to it. The tech giants have done something that is so insane if you think about it, but they decide, to a lesser extent, what your friends' outward posts you see, because, a post is kind of like them being an influencer. And YouTube's decided that, like, oh yeah, when someone you follow posts something, we'll decide if it's actually good enough to watch based on how much you care about them. They make a guess as to how much you care about watching these videos based on how much you watched previous ones. If you stop watching for 6 months, they'll assume that, like, oh yeah, you don't really care anymore. You just kind of are there. In the same way, I have friends that I used to know when I was in like year 1 or something, when I was like 6. There are people I could meet today, and like we never unbecame friends. I've got a guy in my life. His name was Marcus. We were like best friends. I told this story a few times about how, like, oh yeah, my favorite color is blue, just because we were doing a survey when I was younger about, like, in year 1 or something, about your favorite color. I didn't have one, and then the guy who was my best friend just said, like, oh yeah, mine's blue. And I always thought mine would probably be red because everyone else was red. But when he said blue, I was like, oh yeah, mine too. My favorite color is also blue. And I just stuck with it. I was like, well, this works just as good as my favorite color did. And yeah, in a way, that's kind of like an influence thing. We never unbecame friends. I think he just moved school. Actually, I think he was there the whole time. I just never saw him. Like, in the way my schools work, there were like 2 halves of a year, and the 2 halves could only interact like at lunch and break time or whatever. So, and given that everyone kind of hung out in their own little areas at both those times, if you didn't look for someone, you probably wouldn't find them outside of like playing football or something. And even then, I don't think you played football, so you're not. We never unbecame friends. But at the same time, our friendship isn't as strong as my group of D&D friends who, until it became illegal to do so. Actually, I don't know if it is illegal or just unadvised, but until it became highly not recommended to do so, we're coming around every week. They play games with me. Went to Vegas together just last year. There's a different level of friendship there, right? Even though they're both still got the same word of friends. And in the same way, YouTube has a thing called subscribe. Oh yeah, tell me about their videos when they come out, YouTube. That's what I want you to do. But they have a hard time of working out what your like actual connection level is with the YouTuber that does so. Because, they used to have like and dislike on videos, and like and dislike would be like, oh yeah, this video is good, I think more people should watch it, hit like. Oh yeah, this video, not very good, really didn't, people should not be watching this, hit dislike. But every single YouTuber then throws like this video at the start, and most people don't think too much about their like. They're just like, oh yeah, sure, I like this guy. Even if you don't like this guy, it's like, well, he tells me to do it. What's the worst that can happen, And therefore, as a result, everyone just says like the video. And liking the video doesn't become a measure of how good or bad the video is. It becomes a measure of like how convincing a person is at saying like the video. And in the same way, when everyone used to say just hit subscribe. No one even said why. So people would be like, subscribe, it's free, or subscribe, smash that subscribe button, or whatever, they just say things like that, and you'd be like, oh, yes, I should do that. So the challenge with a giant like YouTube is trying to value your decision to subscribe. So value your decision about what you watch, while also knowing that they weren't perfectly. Those decisions weren't made. I'm not saying they were made under duress or anything. Although you could certainly make the argument that someone just saying do it, don't worry about why, we'll deal with that later. You could make an argument that that's under duress. But no, my actual thing would be that like, oh yeah, even though you made that decision freely, it's hard to work out the people you want to really see and the people you don't want to really see. So they do it via an algorithm. They just have a robot that decides to do that. And I think this is weird because we've never done this for any layer of friendship in history. Like, oh yeah, how do you work out who your best friends are in real life? Not an algorithm. Again, your phone doesn't make a decision about who you call, etc. But YouTube does, and it works, and most people seem to like it. It seems to be one of the reasons that makes YouTube so successful. So I can't be too bitter about it. But I do want to mention that, like, hey, if you want to take it into your own hands, I think the only way to do so, because most people aren't going to. Most people either like the existing system or, it's too much effort to change it. I actually understand that. But I feel like the best way is to, like, follow somewhere else. The notification bell, even then, I think at some point, YouTube notifications will, because it used to be that YouTube notifications were like, oh yeah, I want notifications from this channel. And then it became notifications for most uploads. And you can see they slowly tweak it because YouTubers will always ask their fans, do this thing. And then if you do that for too many YouTubers, you get overwhelmed and you don't do it for anyone, And that's something YouTube doesn't want because they want you on the platform more than they want your loyalty to me or your loyalty to any YouTuber you watch or anything else like that. YouTube cares most about your loyalty to the platform. And although they can't guarantee it personally, the thing they have on their control is the fact that they control the platform. YouTube controls the entire site that you're on right now. And the only way to circumvent that is like, hey, try your best to see the people you want to see. Again, like using a different social media, like Twitter right now, it shows you the most important posts first, but then underneath that, it shows all of your posts. On YouTube, hitting the notification bell makes you show up more in subscribe than not hitting it. Hitting more notifications also improves your ranking on the homepage. I think, again, the algorithm changes all the time and we don't know for sure. But the best thing you can do is just like, if you want to follow someone, you have to follow them in more than one place because you can't trust if any one place is going to deliver that message to you. Unlike if you used to want to send a message to a friend, you ask them for their number and now if I text them on that number, they will be able to respond to me. Now the way it works, again, because it's parasocial, I guess it needs to work differently, but the understanding that we've come to is so different from the global village model of before, where it's like, okay, so the way wait, that can't be lined up. No, it's that way. The model we've got is so different from before, where it's like, oh yeah, you get a number, you know, from this guy, and then you know how to contact them at any time. And then there's a personal assistant standing between everyone and everyone else. And that personal assistant, who is a robot, by the way, which robots can do a better job than humans at certain jobs. Can they do it at this job? That's for you to decide. And then that robot assistant decides whether or not you should get this message, or whether it should just be pushed aside because you wouldn't be interested. Because let's be honest, if you like just these Let's Plays, maybe you're not interested in Seed Sunday. Maybe you have a Let's Play Seed already, and seeing what's out there isn't so interesting. Well, then it won't recommend you Seed Sunday, except maybe it knows that you'd be interested in a Seed Sunday that utterly redefines the rules of Minecraft, like finding Seed Zero or something. So it shows that one to more people. Again, the algorithm is like, you know, the idea of like what you would and wouldn't like to watch is so complex that even you don't understand. And I think it's weird that like a robot attempts to do a better job than anyone at it. And I don't, you know, this might seem like it's a big push to be like, hey, you should all subscribe to me. And of course, I'd like it if you're watching this. It's funny, so even some people watching the Let's Plays aren't subscribed. Even some people, this is usually, like, I've said this before, but like, the people who watch these are usually the people who are like most, I would say like reliable. Like, not the people, like people who watch the general videos, a lot of them aren't subscribed. A lot of them don't care, like have any loyalties or friendships or anything else like that. Like they don't know me. They're just there for the video at the time. But these Let's Plays, they're like, it's a big commitment to get into. And as a result, like I actually read all the YouTube comments on these. These days, there's still a lot of firsts and etc. etc. But the response to it is super fascinating. Like, oh yeah, someone might respond to the therapy thing and be like, actually, you know what, Toy Cat? Reframing things is an important part of therapy, but the more important thing is XYZ. I like that there is like a real conversation that still comes in here. Because YouTube isn't built for conversations. YouTube is built for a one-way flow of content, and it's not built between... You might think that it's me that's throwing videos your way, but it's YouTube that's deciding... I throw videos YouTube's way, and then I pray that YouTube sends those same videos to you. But I have no guarantee that it does. And given the number of... Given that over the years we've had so many issues with you know, like videos going out, etc. It's just kind of like it's a fun game. You've just got to be willing to play, and you got to accept like, yep, things will happen sometimes, and those things are very strange and very interesting. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this little video. I like my torch grid so far. I feel like we made some good progress. There's so much to make. We have to place these all over the world. Maybe we should just make like a mega Let's Play where we do like for 2 hours or something, just place torches. That could be a lot of fun. But before we do that, we need to do some auto farms. By the way, do you like... I want to mention this now because there will be some comments about it. Do you like how I was talking about how like some things and like sometimes in life there's just jarring circumstances? So we just left that pillager raid and just started placing torches. The more important project that we're still working on. We're going to go back to that now though, and we're going to finish it after I say thank you for watching this video. Thank you for bringing me to the position where I am right now. Again, I am... Obviously, the world's in a weird place, and I'm horrified. And I think to myself sometimes, like, if I'm having these moments of dread and fear and wondering when life will be normal and, like, praying that it will be soon, if that's me, I wonder, like, how bad it is for some of you. And I want to say, yeah, to anyone who's going for the same thing, thank you for still being here, even during these crazy times. Because that is something I appreciate. You can't even see the torches from here, can you? That's odd. I bet if it got dark, we could see it real nice. Wait, actually, let's wait till it's dark. So, just like this video, my Minecraft day is coming to an end, and something you're gonna spot is across the world, the average light level goes from, I think it's 15 in the daylight, to slowly down to, you know, it drops to like 1 or 2. And as you can see, it means that the parts of the world we have lit up become very clear against the parts of the world we haven't. Look at this forest, though. Despite the darkness appearing all across the areas over there, for instance, you can see that forest, despite the heavy tree covering on top of it, is fully lit up, which is nice to see. And yeah, we're going to slowly spread that more and more across different parts of this world, which will be nice to see, in my opinion. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope that... I don't know what redstone-related things we want to do in the future, but I want it to all be very accessible or insane. I want it to be like... Even the insane stuff, I want it to be loops off a basic farm, rather than something where it's like, here is something that will take 200 hours to even become worthwhile. Because survival is about having fun. Minecraft, to me, is about playing survival, and survival is about having fun, but also about having something that you achieve in the long run. And I hope that you've achieved something in this past week or so. And indeed, I hope you achieved something by hitting that notification bell, even if you don't really like my videos, but I hope you like them enough to follow me somewhere else, or hit the bell, whatever you want to do, honestly. It's something I appreciate either way, and if you don't, then I'll just kill these zombies and be sad. Goodbye.